Sparkly Scales and Grumpy Gails, an Ivanka Sparkly Scale adventure. Created by Bard and Grandpa. December 2023. Chapter 1, Whispers on the Wind. Sunlight dappled the whispering woods, dappling on the face of Ivanka, her hair like spun sunshine. Today, a tingle danced in her fingertips, a whisper of mischief on the wind. Glancing at the rainbow feather tucked in her pocket, pulsing with a restless crimson, she knew the woods held a secret stirring. Granny Willow, wise as the oldest oak, had warned of a grumpy wizard, his tower shrouded in shadows, where laughter withered and sunlight dared not tread. But Ivanka, bravest adventurer of the woods, wasn't one to cower from whispers. Slipping past mossy rocks and giggling ferns, she followed the tingle to a hidden path, choked with thorns and dusted with forgotten dreams. Here, the wind's whispers turned to moans, chilling her skin. Suddenly, a flash of crimson, the feather aflame with urgency. It pointed towards a jagged silhouette against the sun, a crooked tower clawing at the sky, dark smoke slithering from its jagged mouth. The grumpy wizard's lair. Her heart pounding a drumbeat against her ribs, Ivanka climbed the thorn-strewn path, the shadows seeming to reach out, whispering doubts. But the feather gleamed, a beacon in the gloom. Reaching the tower's base, she saw a gargoyle, moss-covered and grumpy, guarding the iron-wrought door. "Turn back, child," it croaked, voice like rusty hinges. "Laughter unwelcome here." Ivanka, chin held high, met its grumpy gaze. "I seek the grumpy wizard," she declared, voice shaking ever so slightly. "The wind whispers of shadows he casts, of joy he steals." The gargoyle chuckled, a sound like dry leaves crackling. "He steals much worse, child. He steals dreams." A shiver danced down Ivanka's spine. Dreams were sunshine, were laughter. No wizard, grumpy or otherwise, would steal hers. With a resolute nod, she touched the feather to the cold iron door. It shimmered, pulsed, and swung open, revealing a darkness that seemed to breathe. Taking a deep breath, Ivanka stepped into the grumpy tower, rainbow feather glowing like a tiny sun, ready to chase away the shadows and reclaim the stolen dreams. Whispers followed her, shadows flickered at the edges of her vision, but Ivanka walked on, bravest adventurer of the whispering woods, ready to face the grumpy wizard and bring back the sunshine. Chapter 2, The Grumpy Gatekeeper. Ivanka, heart a hummingbird in her chest, navigated the gloomy depths of the tower. Each step crunched on dust motes that danced like phantoms in the flickering torchlight. Her rainbow feather, tucked tight in her palm, pulsed a nervous crimson, urging her onward. Suddenly, a monstrous figure loomed before her, blocking the narrow passage. No wizard, but a hulking creature carved from rough-hewn stone, its eyes glowing like embers. In a voice that rumbled like boulders shifting, it spoke. "To pass, child of the sun, you must answer 3 riddles woven of shadows, spun of forgotten glee." Ivanka, though her small hand trembled, met the stone gaze. "I will try," she declared, her voice a spark in the gloom. The first riddle whispered of whispered wishes, lost in the wind. Ivanka, remembering the dandelion whispers she gathered for Granny Willow, closed her eyes and spoke of wishes carried on dandelion fluff, their journey a joyful dance. The stone shifted, a flicker of appreciation in its fiery eyes. The second riddle spoke of laughter silenced, joy turned to dust. Ivanka, thinking of Sparky's playful sparks, told of how even the smallest light could chase away the deepest shadows, how laughter, like fireflies, could spark joy anew. The stone rumbled, its form cracking ever so slightly, revealing a glimmer of sunlight beneath. For the final riddle, the stone spoke of a heart hidden by fear, guarded by doubt. Ivanka, her throat suddenly dry, looked at the pulsing feather, a symbol of her courage. She spoke of facing fears with a smile, of finding strength in friendship, of a heart filled with sunshine that no shadow could dim. The stone shuddered, a slow and deliberate movement. With a groan like mountains splitting, it crumbled, revealing a winding staircase spiraling upwards. A warm sunbeam pierced the gloom, bathing the steps in golden light. Sparky, a tiny ember against the darkness, chirped and fluttered around Ivanka. His playful sparks danced on the stone fragments, their warmth like tiny fingers of joy mending the broken guardian. With a grateful smile, Ivanka climbed the sunlit stairs, Sparky buzzing at her side, the grumpy gatekeeper behind them, now a crumbled monument to doubt, replaced by a glimmer of laughter and a path forward. The grumpy wizard awaited, but Ivanka, bravest adventurer of the Whispering Woods, carried with her more than a rainbow feather. She carried riddles answered with kindness, shadows chased away with light, and a heart brimming with sunshine, ready to face any challenge the tower had in store. Chapter 3: Cauldron of Calamities. Ivanka's heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs as she climbed the sunlit stairs. Each groan of the ancient wooden steps seemed to echo her anxieties, but the warmth of the sunlight and the tiny, flickering flame of Sparky at her side spurred her onward. Finally, she reached the top, a vast chamber draped in cobwebs and dust. In the center, a monstrous cauldron bubbled and churned, spewing forth noxious fumes that stung her eyes and made her head spin. A low, guttural chanting accompanied the cauldron's symphony of gurgles and pops. There, hunched over the cauldron like a gargoyle over a puddle, stood the grumpy wizard. His long, crooked teeth protruded from under a tangled beard, and his eyes, twin embers in the gloom, glittered with a malevolent glee. In his hands, he clutched a gnarled branch from a dead tree, stirring the viscous, iridescent liquid like a conductor leading a macabre orchestra. At first, Ivanka stood rooted, fear momentarily freezing her limbs. But then, as the wizard cackled, a single word burst from her lips as dreams. His head snapped up, eyes narrowing. "Ah, the little sunbeam," he rasped, his voice like fingernails scraping on stone. "Come to witness my masterpiece, eh? This, my dear, is a recipe for ultimate grumpiness, a potion to steal smiles and laughter, to plunge the world into an eternal, delectable gloom." His cackle echoed through the chamber, bouncing off the dusty walls and twisting Ivanka's insides with a nauseating dread. The rainbow feather in her pocket pulsed frantically, a crimson beacon against the darkness. This wasn't just any grumpy potion. This was a nightmare brewed in a cauldron, a weapon against joy itself. Fear clawed at her throat, but Ivanka, bravest adventurer of the Whispering Woods, wouldn't stand by and watch the world lose its laughter. Taking a deep breath, she squared her shoulders. Sparky, sensing her determination, buzzed around her head, his tiny sparks dancing like defiant fireflies. "You won't get away with this," she declared, her voice surprisingly steady. "I won't let you steal everyone's dreams." The grumpy wizard's laughter abruptly ceased. A cold smile twisted his lips as he turned to face her, his eyes burning with malice. "We shall see about that, little sunbeam," he hissed. "This potion is nearly complete, and even your sunshine won't be enough to stop it." Ivanka knew words wouldn't be enough. She needed a plan, a way to disrupt the cauldron, to prevent the potion from reaching its terrible completion. But how? Her gaze darted around the chamber, landing on a shelf stacked with dusty vials and jars. Maybe, just maybe, something there could help. With a renewed sense of purpose, Ivanka stepped forward, towards the cauldron and the grumpy wizard, ready to face the heart of darkness in its very lair. The fate of laughter, the sunshine of the world, depended on it. Chapter 4: A Flutter of Fear. The grumpy wizard's eyes, embers reflecting the cauldron's glow, narrowed at Ivanka's defiance. His smile, a crack carved into stone, promised darkness. Panic gnawed at the edges of her bravery, but before it could bloom, the rainbow feather erupted in a frenzy. Crimson pulsed, an urgent heartbeat against her palm. With a searing flash, a vision pierced her mind, cold and sharp as moonlight slicing through leaves. Sparky, her firefly friend, a luminous ember against the shadows, trapped in a cage woven from silver moonlight. Fear, icy and paralyzing, gripped Ivanka's soul. A baby in shadows writhed around her. The The grumpy wizard cackled, a sound like dry branches snapping in a frost reveille. In her terror. "Ah, your precious spark," he rasped, his voice slithering through the chamber. "He who lights your way will soon be a mere flicker trapped in my moonlight snare. No sunbeam's friend, then, are you?" But fear, though it constricted her throat, couldn't extinguish the flames in her heart. "Sparky." His playful laughter and comforting warmth fueled her defiance. In that frigid vision, she saw not just a captured friend, but a beacon, a spark trapped in darkness waiting to be ignited. Her grip on the feather tightened, its crimson pulse merging with her own. Memories, warm and golden, bloomed in her mind, Sparky's playful sparks chasing shadows, his tiny body a radiant dance against the twilight sky. Each memory a defiance, a flicker of sunshine against the encroaching gloom. "You may trap light, wizard," she declared, her voice a tremor yet ringing true, "but you cannot cage its spirit. Sparky's laughter is like dandelion fluff, carried on the wind, you cannot imprison it in your cobwebbed cage." The grumpy wizard's laughter sputtered, a dying ember choked by her words. The cauldron's rhythm wavered, the fumes thinning as if doubt took root within its swirling depths. Ivanka, fueled by the memories and Sparky's unspoken trust, saw her path clear. Taking a deep breath, she flung the rainbow feather. It soared through the air, a streak of defiance against the darkness, and plunged into the bubbling cauldron. The viscous green liquid hissed and frothed, the moonlight woven within it struggling against the feather's fiery glow. A battle royale erupted before her eyes. The cauldron pulsed with malevolent light, the grumpy wizard pouring the last of his dark magic into it. But the feather, empowered by Ivanka's courage and Sparky's spirit, fought back. Its crimson glow intensified, pushing back the shadows, turning the green broth golden, a sunrise battling a moonless night. The cavern trembled, dust raining down as the two forces clashed. But slowly, ever so slowly, the golden light encroached, pushing back the encroaching darkness. Ivanka, heart thundering in her chest, watched with bated breath. This was it. The final stand between sunshine and shadow. With a final, earth-shaking groan, the cauldron erupted in a burst of golden light. The potion, stripped of its darkness, shimmered on the floor, a harmless puddle reflecting the newfound radiance. Sparky's cage, unraveled by the light, shimmered and dissolved, releasing its captive. And there he was, a tiny burst of joy against the newfound sunbeams, fluttering towards Ivanka. He landed on her shoulder, his light echoing the victory dance of the rainbow feather. The gloom, so thick moments ago, was gone, replaced by a warm, golden glow. The grumpy wizard, his power shattered, slumped against the wall, a pathetic shadow in the newfound light. The battle was won. Sunshine had reclaimed its dominion, thanks to a brave little adventurer and a tiny spark of joy that no moonlight could ever truly cage. And as Ivanka laughed, holding Sparky close, she knew that even in the deepest darkness, a single flickering flame of courage, of friendship, could chase away the shadows and bring back the sunshine. They had won, not just for themselves, but for every giggle, every laugh, every glimmer of joy that the world held. And that, she thought, was a victory worth celebrating, with sunshine, laughter, and a very special Firefly friend. Chapter 5, Moonlight Maze. Moonlight draped the whispering woods in an eerie silver gauze as Ivanka, clutching the now faintly pulsing rainbow feather, stepped into the grumpy wizard's moonlit garden. Thorny vines, shimmering with dewdrops like trapped starlight, formed labyrinthine paths, twisting and turning in a confusing dance. Illusions flickered at the edges of her vision, mocking phantoms of herself whispering doubts and fears. One moment, she'd see a sad, defeated Ivanka, shoulders slumped and laughter silenced. The next, a shadow-wreathed creature with her own voice cackling about stolen dreams. The feather, barely a whisper of crimson against the moonlit white, offered the only direction. Ivanka closed her eyes, feeling its faint warmth against her palm, drawing strength from its unwavering pulse. This was the grumpy wizard's playground, a domain of illusions and misdirection, designed to trap the unwary in its silvery snare. But Ivanka, bravest adventurer of the woods, would not be fooled. Remembering how laughter had dispelled the grumpy gargoyle's gloom, she started to hum, a soft melody filled with chirping crickets and dancing fireflies. Her voice, though shaky at first, gained confidence, weaving a counterspell against the shadows. As she walked, the illusions shifted, their edges bleeding and distorting. The mocking shadows became blurry figures, their voices fading into rustling leaves. The sad reflection turned into a silhouette of determination, reflecting her own resolve. The feather, bathed in her humming light, pulsed once, almost imperceptibly, guiding her deeper into the maze. Suddenly, a wall of thorny vines barred her way, their silver thorns whispering taunts of failure. Despair threatened to engulf her, but then, Sparky, a tiny beacon of light, zipped in front of her. His joyful chirps echoed through the garden, chasing away the whispers, and with a flick of his wings, the thorny wall shimmered and dissolved, revealing a hidden path beyond. The moonlight garden continued, a labyrinth of silver shadows and rustling secrets. But with each illusion overcome, each whispered doubt challenged, Ivanka grew stronger. Her humming tune became a song, filled with the laughter of wind chimes and the twinkling of fireflies. The feather, now glowing more brightly, led her onward, a promise of sunshine at the end of the moonlit maze. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the path opened onto a clearing bathed in the gentle light of a crescent moon. In the center stood a silver willow, its branches weeping tears of stardust. And nestled within its weeping bough, a cage woven from moonlight, shimmered with an imprisoned glow. Ivanka knew at once. This was the heart of the maze, the prison for stolen laughter. Holding her breath, she approached the cage, the rainbow feather held aloft like a tiny sunbeam. As she did, the moonlight cage flickered, its silver threads yearning for the warmth in her hand. Reaching out, she touched the cage with the feather. The moment their luminescence met, the moonlight cage dissolved, replaced by a shower of glittering stardust. Laughter, pure and joyful, erupted from within, a chorus of twinkling chimes and bubbling brooks. The clearing blossomed with warmth, the weeping willow's tears turning into diamonds of sunlight. Ivanka, surrounded by the emancipated laughter, felt her heart swell with joy. It was a victory, hard-won and sweet, proof that even in the darkest moonlit maze, a tiny spark of courage, guided by friendship and laughter, could illuminate the path to hope. But the grumpy wizard's defeat was not complete. The feather, its duty fulfilled, dimmed to a mere ember. And in the distance, a flicker of darkness pulsed, a promise of shadows yet to be chased away. Ivanka, still humming her moonlit tune, Sparky clinging to her shoulder, knew her adventure was far from over. There were more stolen dreams to reclaim, more shadows to chase away, and with a smile on her face and a song in her heart, she was ready to face whatever moonlight labyrinth awaited. Chapter 6: Sparky's Sparkly Strike. As Ivanka neared the moonlit cage, her heart pounded like a drum against her ribs. Laughter, muffled yet vibrant, pulsed from within, urging her onward. The silver cage shimmered, its threads yearning for the warm glow of the rainbow feather held aloft in her trembling hand. Suddenly, a tiny streak of fire exploded from the shadows. Sparky, a miniature sun against the moonlit clearing, zoomed past Ivanka, a comet of joy leaving a trail of sparkling dust. With a defiant chirp, he slammed into the cage, his luminous scales bursting with light. The moonlit cage, unable to withstand the onslaught of pure joy, shattered into a million glittering fragments. Laughter, no longer confined, erupted like a joyous spring, cascading through the clearing in waves of tinkling bells and bubbling brooks. The weeping willow, bathed in the newfound light, ceased its sorrowful tears, its branches instead shimmering with radiant dewdrops. Sparky, freed from his ethereal prison, zipped around Ivanka, a comet dancing on sunshine. His laughter, like tiny fireflies, filled the air, chasing away the lingering shadows. Ivanka, tears of joy welling in her eyes, scooped him up into her arms, his excited chirps merging with her breathless laughter. Their reunion, a defiant celebration of light and friendship, echoed through the clearing. The oppressive magic of the moonlit maze, unable to contend with such unrestrained joy, began to waver. Shadows thinned, their edges blurring like melting ice. The clearing, once bathed in an oppressive silver, now shimmered with a warm, golden glow. From the edge of the clearing, a low growl erupted. The grumpy wizard, shrouded in a tattered cloak of darkness, stumbled into view, his eyes narrowed with fury. He glared at the radiant Ivanka and her shimmering firefly friend, their laughter a mockery of his gloomy magic. You meddlers, he rasped, his voice crackling like dead leaves. I stole their laughter, their very joy. How dare you release it? Ivanka, her laughter catching in her throat, stepped forward, her face a defiant sunrise against the fading moonlight. Because laughter, she declared, her voice ringing with newfound strength, is not yours to steal. It belongs to the wind, to the sunbeams, to fireflies and whispering dreams. And we, Sparky and I, intend to see it returned, every giggle, every chuckle, every burst of sunshine. As she spoke, the stolen laughter, empowered by their words, swirled around the clearing, a whirlwind of joy defying the grumpy wizard's darkness. The wind, catching the laughter, carried it beyond the garden, spreading it like seeds of sunshine across the moonlit woods. The grumpy wizard, overwhelmed by the tide of joy, shrank back into the shadows, his power withering away under its radiant warmth. With a final, disgruntled whimper, he dissolved into the moonlight, leaving behind only a wisp of fading gloom. Ivanka and Sparky, showered in the radiant laughter they had set free, danced in the clearing, their joy a beacon against the fading darkness. The clearing, once a prison of stolen smiles, now stood bathed in the warm glow of 1,000 fireflies, a testament to the power of friendship and laughter to chase away even the deepest shadows. And as Ivanka, a tiny adventurer with a heart full of sunshine, skipped back into the whispering woods, Sparky a glittering constellation perched on her shoulder, she knew this was just one victory in a much larger battle. But with each shadow chased away, each giggle reclaimed, she and her firefly friend would continue to bring sunshine to the world, one spark of joy at a time. Chapter 7, Potion Mishap. Ivanka and Sparky's joyous dance, fueled by reclaimed laughter, sent shockwaves through the clearing. The moonlit garden shuddered, its illusions unraveling like wet scrolls. And then, in a spectacular flourish of chaos, the grumpy wizard's bubbling cauldron, neglected in the midst of the sunbeam symphony, decided to have its own say. With a belch that could rattle mountains, the cauldron erupted. A green geyser, laced with rainbow flecks from the dissolved feather, spewed towards the sky, raining down on the clearing like a mischievous confetti storm. The grumpy wizard, caught squarely in the epicenter, received the full brunt of his own grump-inducing potion. The effect was instantaneous and utterly comical. The wizard, once a looming figure of shadow, shrank with each gloopy droplet that hit him. By the time the last green splatter subsided, he stood barely taller than a toadstool, his face pinched and comical, and his beard dripping goo. Even more unexpected was the change in his demeanor. The grumpiness had vanished, replaced by a bewildered confusion that bordered on hysterical. Every few seconds, a loud, hiccuping sneeze would rack his small frame, sending him into a comical dance of splutters and coughs. Ivanka, initially stunned into silence, burst into laughter, a sound so pure and joyful that it shook the leaves of the weeping willow. Sparky, his tiny body vibrating with glee, zoomed around the shrunken wizard, his laughter adding to the cacophony. Oh dear, hiccuped the wizard, batting at the goo clinging to his nose. Did someone, spike my grump potion with sunshine and, sparkly sparkles? Ivanka, wiping tears of laughter from her eyes, shook her head. Not exactly, she replied, still giggling. You see, wizard, laughter is a powerful antidote to grumpiness. It turns frowns upside down, chases away shadows, and even, it seems, shrinks grumpy wizards into comical puddles of confusion. The wizard, considering this with a furrowed brow, or at least, what remained of a furrow given his shrunken state, let out a long, contemplative hiccup. he looked at Ivanka, at the glittering clearing bathed in laughter, at Sparky buzzing like a miniature sun, and a hesitant smile, tinged with something suspiciously hopeful, flickered on his face. Perhaps, he hiccuped, perhaps I've been approaching things all wrong. Maybe, a little sunshine wouldn't hurt after all. And so, in the most unexpected way, Ivanka's victory wasn't just about reclaiming stolen laughter. It was about reminding a grumpy wizard, and perhaps the world itself, that sometimes, the best antidote to darkness is a good dose of joy, a sprinkle of laughter, and maybe, just maybe, a tiny, firefly friend with the brightest of sparks. And as Ivanka and Sparky skipped away from the shrunken wizard, leaving him surrounded by his own comical concoction, they knew that even the grumpiest of hearts could be tickled by sunshine, and the darkest of shadows could be chased away by a tiny spark of laughter. The victory might be unconventional, but in the world of whispers and fireflies, sometimes the most unexpected solutions spark the greatest joy. Chapter 8: A Friendship Feast. As the last echoes of laughter chased away the moonlit shadows, Ivanka and Sparky knew their victory deserved a celebration befitting the occasion. So, with nimble fingers and a heart brimming with sunshine, Ivanka transformed the grumpy tower's overgrown gardens into a luminous feast for the senses. Flowers, long wilted under the wizard's gloomy spell, unfurled their petals in vibrant hues, their fragrance a sweet melody on the evening breeze. Dewdrops, kissed by the setting sun, became shimmering jewels scattered across the emerald grass. Fireflies, freed from their moonlight cages, twinkled like constellations dancing above, their tiny lanterns casting playful shadows. Sparky, the ever-joyful conductor of the festivities, buzzed from flower to firefly, his scales reflecting the kaleidoscope of color. He led the fireflies in a whimsical choreography, their light-weaving patterns in the air like threads of laughter. Suddenly, a hesitant cough broke the merry chorus. From behind a rose bush emerged the shrunken wizard, his goo-encrusted beard now sporting a few tentative wildflowers. Hesitantly, he offered a bouquet of dandelion fluff, a clumsy apology disguised as a clumsy gift. Ivanka, her smile as warm as the setting sun, accepted the offering. "Welcome to the feast, grumpy wizard," she said, her voice as gentle as the wind chimes that now decorated the trees. "Today, we celebrate the sunshine after the storm, the laughter after the silence." And so, they did. The grumpy wizard, emboldened by their acceptance, shed his final tattered shreds of grumpiness. He joined them in their feast, nibbling on berries kissed by firelight and drinking sweet dewdrop mead. He even attempted a firefly polka, his clumsy steps punctuated by bursts of laughter from both himself and Ivanka. As the moon replaced the sun, casting a cool silver glow on the gardens, the feast continued. Stories were shared, songs sung, and laughter, the truest language of their newfound friendship, echoed through the night. From atop the tower, bathed in the moonlight and the twinkling of fireflies, Ivanka gazed at the scene below. She saw a garden reborn, shadows chased away by laughter and friendship. She saw a shrunken wizard, his heart no longer shrouded in gloom, learning to dance with joy. And most importantly, she saw herself, a tiny adventurer with a firefly friend, radiating sunshine in a world that desperately needed it. The battle against darkness might be never-ending, but in this moment, surrounded by a feast of laughter and newfound camaraderie, Ivanka knew the spark of joy she carried within could chase away the shadows, one giggle at a time. And with Sparky nestled on her shoulder, his light a reflection of hers, she knew their adventures, and the feasts they brought, were just beginning. The whispering woods held endless secrets, and beyond them, a world waiting to be touched by the magic of a single spark, a tiny adventurer, and a firefly friend. And Ivanka, bravest adventurer of them all, was ready to light the way, one moonlit adventure, one joyous feast, at a time. Chapter 9: Farewell, Foolish Tower. As the first blush of dawn painted the whispering woods, Ivanka and Sparky stood atop the once grumpy tower, bathed in the soft golden light. Below, the gardens hummed with the echoes of their luminous feast, the flowers still vibrant, and the fireflies still swirling in playful dances. The shrunken wizard, no longer grumpy but a tad disheveled, waved from beneath a dandelion fluff crown, a sheepish grin plastered on his face. "Remember, wizard," Ivanka called down, her voice filled with the warmth of the rising sun, "laughter is the sunshine of the soul. Don't forget to let it bloom." The wizard, his shrunken form barely visible between the flowers, gave a clumsy thumbs up, sending a shower of fluffy seeds into the air. Ivanka laughed, a melody blending with the chirping of the newly awakened birds. Sparky, a tiny spark against the golden sky, danced on her palm, his excitement mirroring her own. The rainbow feather, tucked behind her ear, pulsed with a restless crimson. It whispered of distant lands, of whispering winds and giggling rivers, of adventures yet to be lived. With a smile, Ivanka turned to face the rising sun, its golden rays shimmering in her eyes. "Ready, Sparky?" she asked, her voice filled with the thrill of anticipation. The firefly chirped, his light blinking twice, a tiny beacon of agreement. And then, with a leap of faith and a burst of laughter, Ivanka and Sparky launched themselves into the sky. The wind, their chariot, carried them beyond the whispering woods, beyond the horizon, towards the whispers of the feathers' promises. Below, the grumpy tower grew smaller, eventually shrinking into a speck of mossy gray against the green tapestry of the forest. But the laughter that had bloomed within its walls, the joy that Ivanka and Sparky had woven with their friendship, that would remain, a sunbeam in the memory of the now ungrumpy wizard, a testament to the power of a tiny spark in a world yearning for light. The world stretched before them, a canvas beckoning to be painted with laughter and light. Mountains whispered of hidden giggling waterfalls, rivers promised journeys filled with tinkling joy, and the vast blue sky hummed with the song of wind chimes yet to be discovered. Ivanka, bravest adventurer of the whispering woods, soared on, her heart a sunbeam, her laughter a guiding star. Sparky, her tiny son, buzzed at her side, their laughter blending in a joyous duet against the vast canvas of the unknown. And the whispers of the rainbow feather, now pulsing with the anticipation of 1,000 adventures, led them onward, towards a world waiting to be filled with the sunshine of their laughter. This was not the end of their story, but merely the beginning of a new chapter, a sunlit tapestry woven with laughter, friendship, and the endless whispers of a feather that knew the way to joy. And as Ivanka and Sparky chased the horizon, their tiny lights sparkling against the vast blue sky, they knew that wherever they landed, laughter would follow, chasing away shadows and leaving a trail of sunshine in its wake. Chapter 10: Echoes of Laughter. Days later, as the whispering woods basked in the afternoon sun, a curious whisper snagged on the breeze. It wasn't the usual rustling of leaves or the playful chirping of crickets, but a different kind of music, the joyous rumble of laughter. Intrigued, Ivanka and Sparky, perched on a sun-dappled branch, followed the sound. It led them to the village square, usually quiet at this hour, suddenly transformed into a whirlwind of merriment. Villagers, young and old, twirled under ribbons strung across the trees, their faces flushed with laughter. A troop of gleeful squirrels juggled acorns, their bushy tails twitching in time with the beat of a makeshift drum. In the center, Granny Willow, her face crinkled with a wider smile than any oak ring, spun with a young boy, her laughter as vibrant as the wildflowers woven into her hair. As Ivanka and Sparky approached, the laughter seemed to amplify, drawing them into the swirling circle. Granny Willow, catching sight of them, stopped her twirling and beckoned them closer. "Ah, my brave adventurer," she exclaimed, her voice warm as honey. "And your valiant Firefly. We heard whispers of your daring deeds in the Grumpy Tower." Ivanka's cheeks flushed redder than the poppies swaying in the breeze. "It was nothing, really," she mumbled, Sparky buzzing a shy agreement around her head. But the villagers wouldn't hear of it. Tales of their moonlit adventure, embellished with whispers of the giggling river and the dancing fireflies, had already swept through the village like a joyous whirlwind. They were heroes, champions of laughter, and the village square echoed with their praises. Soon, Ivanka and Sparky found themselves caught up in the merriment. They danced with the villagers, weaving through the ribbons, Sparky a firefly comet in their wake. Granny Willow taught them a song about chasing shadows with sunshine, and the squirrels shared their hidden stash of honeyed nuts. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold, the laughter lingered. It wasn't just the celebration of their victory, but a deeper joy, a reminder of the bond forged in their shared adventure. The grumpy tower might have crumbled, but the laughter they had set free continued to echo, not just in the village square, but in the whispering leaves and the twinkling of fireflies. Ivanka, nestled against Granny Willow, Sparky a warm beacon on her palm, realized something profound. Their magic wasn't in any feather or potion, but in the spark of friendship they carried within them. And that spark, that unwavering flame of joy, was more powerful than any shadow, brighter than any moonlit prison. The night deepened, the first stars peeking through the twilight. The villagers, their faces tired but hearts full, bid farewell, carrying with them not just the echoes of laughter, but a renewed sense of hope. Ivanka and Sparky, watched over by the twinkling starlight, snuggled closer. As they drifted off to sleep, the whispers of the wind seemed to carry a melody, a song of friendship and sunshine, a promise of adventures yet to come. For even in the deepest woods, even after the shadows had fled, the light of their laughter would continue to shine, a beacon against the darkness, a reminder that the bravest adventurers are often the ones who choose to chase away shadows, not with swords, but with a spark of joy and a firefly friend by their side. And so, as the whispering woods held its breath for the coming dawn, Ivanka and Sparky, bound by laughter and magic, knew their story was far from over. Each giggle, each twinkle of delight, was a tiny victory, a spark in the vast tapestry of joy they were weaving with their friendship. And they, the tiny adventurer and the firefly, were ready to keep chasing shadows, spreading sunshine, and filling the world with the echoes of laughter, one sunlit adventure at a time. Epilogue. And so, Ivanka and Sparky finished another adventure. They used their friendship and courage to help their friends and light the way. But the Whispering Woods is full of surprises. Ivanka and Sparky are always ready for new adventures. What will they discover next? What friends will they meet? Where will their sparkly bond take them? Their journey isn't over, it's just beginning. Get ready for the next adventure. The end.